הכל. ברוכים הבאים.
Abraham Danan or his family, but you know who they are. You've never met the Suisas, but you recognize this moment. The remnant returning from a far country, coming through the gates that are always open, day and night, as it was prophesied. Now they are home. Now if they build houses, they shall inhabit them. If they plant, they shall eat the fruits. You recognize this moment. You've seen it before and shared it. You made it possible. Now to practical matters, translating prophecy into reality. For Jacob Suisa, teacher, head of a family, his wife Alisa, and her sister Helene. That's the job of men from the Jewish agency who must decide where they go. But understand how much this moment means. They do, to a man who has been waiting for it for 7 years. To Abraham Danan, who survived in the far country from which he came because you sustained him. It was just 2 weeks ago that Abraham Danan came to the family food center in the ghetto to draw his final ration. Every week, 2,400 rations are issued here. There are 100,000 in Muslim countries for whom you also provide clothing, medicines, clinics, schools, old age homes, vocational training. The weekly package which JDC provides, including U.S. Food for Peace, feeds families who cannot afford even the meager offerings of the ghetto streets. But thanks to you, never had to become beggars. Abraham used to support his family by making rope-soled shoes. 7 years ago, they came to the crowded ghetto of the city, the first time they'd ever left their isolated village in the far south. They were afraid to remain there, but they had no intention of staying here. Their destination was Israel. But here they discovered they couldn't leave without birth certificates and other documents from their local chieftain. It took them 7 years. Abraham Danan, a man of pride and dignity, did everything except beg. Those who live far from the ghetto pump can buy water from the street vendor, if they have a few pennies. In the courtyard where Abraham Danan lived, there was a rain cistern which they used for 7 years, and cooked their meals for 7 years. And a place for children to play and grow up in, and a shed where they had nothing to store. Each child meant joy, but also sadness. Another spur to leave, another reason to pray for this day. When in a few minutes, a man will come to get them and a crate holding everything they own. Their only sadness for those remaining too old or too sick to leave, or even to survive without JDC's help and yours. Whatever France means to you, to Abraham Danan it is a way station on the Freedom Road. A place called Grand Arenas, near Marseille, is both the end to yesterday and tomorrow's beginning. A girl named Helene has been here 2 days. Life is good in Israel, the camp director tells her, and it will be better, if God wills it, she says. It's a phrase she uses often. But you must also will it, he answers quietly, and help to make it better. Helena's been here 2 days. A man who has been here 2 days longer, named Mesod Adret, is already preparing to leave. Since 1948, Grand Arenas has welcomed tens of thousands, entire communities, and given them brief shelter. Refugees from many lands speaking a dozen languages. Mesod is illiterate. He signed his travel papers with a thumbprint. Not just his problem now, it's also Israel's. He reaches Haifa 5 days later. Plane passage costs no more, but not enough are available. The Jewish agency is prepared. The new arrivals will receive food for their first week. 700 passengers, and no luxuries. Money saved means more can come. Many at the pier once made this trip themselves. Tens of thousands more are expected this year. Aboard ship they were told where they're going. No delays now. Even on the pier they can see how different this world is and the place women have in it. When Mesod Adret was told they were going to a settlement in the Negev, his only question was, is there work there? You've seen Israel before, but never as Mesod sees it now. To you, a road is a road. Israel's trees like other trees, no greener, no more wonderful, unless you've lived in a far country all the years of your life, as Mesod did, where tomorrow could be yesterday or 1,000 years ago, and life is as unchanging as the desert. Even in Israel, a desert is a desert, or is it? Now begins the first lesson for Mesod. What men can do if they will it. This is the land of the prophecy, to make the desert bloom as the rose. Yes, but it is also a land of knowledge and hard work and the power to move mountains. You see, power, where Mesod came from, may be supplied by a living motor. Until 50 years ago, the ghetto gates here were closed every night. Even as late as 1948, the governor ordered them shut for the protection of the Jews. 10 years ago, the 4,000 Jews here had synagogues, schools, a kindergarten, a clinic. Now the institutions are closed. Those they served, gone. Other ghettos are still crowded. But it was not in a ghetto that Mesod Adret lived. His home was many kilometers farther south, far up in the high mountains, in a village dug into the mountainside, in houses made of mud, on land too worthless for anyone to covet. From Mesod's village, it took half a day by donkey to reach the road. So it was easier to pack everything here than to haul the crates up the mountain. There were 500 Jewish families in this area 6 months ago, waiting for word to leave. When it came, 300 departed in a single month. Next week, not one will be left. Tonight a truck will come for the crates, and sometime late tomorrow afternoon there will be a bus. And they will also end their journey on a bus at a settlement in Israel. Kvar Yerucham was established 12 years ago. 3 years later, 3/4 of its settlers had abandoned it. Today it has over 5,000 people. To Mesod, it doesn't matter that the houses aren't finished, the rooms not ready. In other villages, mass immigration means they're moving even into abandoned asbestos huts. Tomorrow he'll begin to feel the isolation. There is almost no industry, no community center, no theater. They've been planned, but plans take time and money. But for today's problems, people are enough. Getting the furniture in, putting in those little extras. Today is Thursday. By Monday, Mesod will have a job in Dimona. There are plans to make Kfar Yerucham more attractive for settlers, though it already appears to have its attractions for one young lady and another somewhat older. A piece of plumbing or a piece of magic. To understand the wonder of a faucet for Helene, you have to go back only 10 days. 10 days and 500 years. In Helene's village, water was this stream, the only water. The village was here because the water was here. You came here to drink it, and you came to get it for cooking. But only the women did. No man would lower himself to do women's work. Water was life, and the center of life. To find Helene's village, you must travel far south of the high mountains. After the road ends, you follow an ancient track and then walk the last half mile to the edge of the desert. Suddenly a medieval castle looms up before you, with turrets and battlements and tiny windows. But the walls are red clay, built as protection against the raids of the desert nomads. It is a fortress town from the Dark Ages. Jews fled here from the Spanish Inquisition. There are 180 Jews now. They're called Ait Musa, people of Moses. They clung to their faith. You gave their children a school. They know about Israel. Helene's family is the first to leave. The animals are kept inside the walls, most of the time for safety. In the 120-degree heat of the narrow streets, the air is heavy with the odor of dung. There are no sewers, no electricity. The houses are dark and airless. There are no windows. One corner of the roof is a bedroom, another an outhouse in emergencies. Helene is 17, Eliza only 15. But it is the older sister who must now show respect to the younger. Eliza is a married woman. For security reasons, they haven't yet been told they're leaving day after tomorrow. The valley outside the village holds the only historical record of Jewish life here. Recent graves and older ones, and some almost obliterated. It is said that the cemetery is 500 years old. It is also said that in this mausoleum a famous rabbi is buried. Soon, next month, next year, this will be all that remains to show that Jews once lived here. A little later, and this too will disappear. Jacob Suiza didn't know he'd be taking a wife to Israel, and a sister-in-law, but he always knew he'd go. It was so written. They've been married 5 days. In 10 days they will be in Israel. They who were born into the 15th century, reborn into the 20th. And in days to come, Isaiah said, Jacob shall take root. Come, stand beside him. Can you see what he sees? No, not the desert still to be conquered, not the parched earth to be watered and turned, not the emptiness to be filled, but the vision, Micah's vision, even through the tears men are not supposed to shed. The vision of the land, where each shall sit under his vine and under his fig tree, and none shall make him afraid.
Hard to believe, isn't it, that our help can reach out to a lost remnant and to give them new lives. But isn't that why we created the United Jewish Appeal, to save lives? Yes, we saved Eliza. But in the villages and the ghettos, there are thousands more waiting to leave, and thousands of others in 31 countries who still need us, our help, just to survive. These are yesterday's miracles. But But until Israel has enough jobs and houses and schools, and can give adequate care to the sick, the aged, and the helpless, is our job done? 750,000 depend on us just for survival this year. On us. Because there's no one else. Think of the people you've just seen when you give. And give generously to your local campaign. What you're giving is often life itself.